Okay, so the last time we met, we discussed research methods and we discussed the definition of research. And for those of you who missed the class, the video of the class has been prepared. It will be uploaded by Monday onto the same Sakai platform so that the link will be put there for you to be able to watch it. And I teach this, I just want to remind you that I teach this course, the same topic from Saturday to Thursday. So Saturday morning, 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. or 9 o'clock. Then Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. And then Wednesday evening, 6:30. Thursday evening, 6:30. And then Saturday again. So I start on a Saturday and end on a Thursday. So every time, the Saturday is a new class I teach. Then the rest of the week, I repeat the same thing. So you Saturday students are always getting the information new and fresh. And so I'll make available the video that we made during the week, that what I taught during the week, available to you on Sakai by Monday. I have it currently, and you can be able to watch it, the interaction that we had and the questions the students were asking too. What I try to do is that after all the four sessions, I choose the one that was most interactive and had the most of questions and a very good set of questions that were answered, and also has the least interference from people logging in and restarting their machines and all their noise. So I try to get the best video and I upload it so that everybody can learn. Okay. So today what we are doing is selecting a topic. I'll start from here and I'll go to the next one. That will be how to conduct a literature review. Last week when we began, we talked about what a research is. And I told you that research is a systematic and organized way of finding answers to questions. Today, what I'll try to do is to teach you what can be researched and what can influence the choice of a topic. And from there, how do you select a topic? And I'll teach you how to be able to review the literature to be able to get a topic. And we are now using chapter 2 of the book, and we'll end up beginning chapter 3, hopefully 2 and 3 today. So I know some of you don't have the book. The country is currently on lockdown. I believe that when we resume in about maybe a week or two, you could actually go to the Legon bookshop and get it. However, last week I made available my access and the information of my office assistant so that you could actually also contact you and see if he can get it to you. So as much as possible, let's try to just read the slides and then watch the video. And when the book is available, also try to, those of you who have the book, begin to read, because it will help you to be able to do your long essay. Okay. So let's continue. I'm going to start. We now have 47 students. I was trying to get to 50, but I think it's fairly better now. So I'm going to start. And then if you have a question, kindly just raise your hand on the system and then I will try to see you. Use the interactions to be able to raise your hand. Okay. So when we started research, the research class last week, we mentioned that research is a systematic and organized way of finding answers to questions. And we talked about the research process, which is the organizing of the research. We said that the research process begins with selecting a topic or a phenomenon that you want to study. So it means that before anybody can start a research, you should know what phenomenon he wants to study, what social or business phenomenon he wants to study. And that's where the selection of a topic comes in. To be able to select a topic, it's important that we understand what can be researched and what cannot be researched. So that is what I'm going to go through before I talk about what influences the choice of a research. Okay. Now there are 5 fields that could influence whether a number of factors that influence our choice of a topic. But first of all, let me just explain what should be researched and what shouldn't be researched so that you can be able to guide you to be able to know where you should start from. The first thing that I always try to tell students is that try as much as possible to focus on bringing originality in your work and generating new knowledge, new knowledge. So to be able to generate new knowledge, it means that the kind of topic that you choose to do a research on, the phenomenon that you choose to do a research on, shouldn't be over-researched or shouldn't be an area that there's so much existing knowledge that there's very, very little room for originality and very little room to contribute new knowledge. Sometimes students may not realize that when you Google a theme or a topic that you have in mind, you may end up having about 1,000, or more than even 20,000 records showing up in Google or any of the academic search engines like scholar.google.com, like Emerald Insight, like Science Direct, like Taylor and Francis. Now, what happens is if you have so much material coming, it's good. It means it's a kind of a fertile area that has received a lot of research. But it means that you have to try to do more work to find out what is left for others to come and research on, or what is left for others to be able to, what knowledge gaps exist in that area so that you can be able to establish your originality in the research that you're going to carry out. So if you take something like unemployment or even just employment, there's quite a number of studies on employment, even from and in Africa. And it's it may be just difficult for you to just start another study on employment without reviewing what exists concerning the studies on employment. But if you take a sub-theme of the area, maybe female unemployment, and even put it in a particular scope or context or domain, let's say female unemployment in the extractive industry, you may realize that there's less research in that area, and there could be directions from previous research that it's important that we look at some of the other issues in unemployment being or employment being female employment and in a particular industry or in a particular domain so that we can be able to test what we know as current knowledge that we have on employment. Another example could be the fact that you choose something like a concept like commitment. Commitment is well researched, but if you check the literature, you may realize that commitment is a multi-dimensional variable. What a multi-dimensional variable means is that it has three different parts. You can have calculative commitment, you can have normative commitment, and then there's also a commitment. The same thing with trust. Trust, you can have competence, you can have integrity, and you can have benevolence. Now, if I take the three dimensions of trust and I may end up realizing that the current studies have done studies by looking at trust as a composite variable, as one variable. So maybe trust as not broken down to those three. Future, it means that what I could do is that in picking a very common concept like trust, I could say that in my research, I would rather break trust down into its subdivisions, or I'll see it as a multi-dimensional concept, or I'll take commitment as a multi-dimensional concept. If I take trust as a multi-dimensional concept, in my research, I'll conceptualize trust as A, benevolence, integrity, and then benevolence, integrity, and competence. And I'll measure each of the dimensions of trust. So choosing a common topic is not necessarily bad, but what is important is that is there anything that was original or new you could actually bring and give us fresh insight? Is there a sub-theme that you could research on? There is also an opportunity for students to do research in different areas, but sometimes some students jump into a discipline that they don't belong to their discipline and they get lost in it. For example, a student trying to do a study on religion or controversial topics in politics. Now, we are not saying that I'll totally avoid them. If you're in marketing, you want to do political marketing, you're welcome. If you want to do a religious a study on maybe how congregants view value creation from churches, or even charity, managing of finances in charities, where you are looking at churches, you are welcome. As a finance student, you are welcome. However, you should be very careful that you don't jump into an area in which it delves into typical religious studies, which may not be a good fit for your discipline that you belong to, being in business school. I remember a student saying that he wanted to do a study on marketing practices of fetch sprays. And I was telling the student that you have to be very careful of a theme like that, because maybe quite a number of supervisors may not be willing to supervise a theme like that, because maybe they'll be asking questions on how will you even collect data and whether you even have access to the data. However, if you should choose marketing practices of traditional healers or spiritual healers who are using contemporary mediums like billboards, Facebook to be able to market their services, that would be a good starting point than rather choosing one that is very difficult for you to have access to data. So you should be very careful that when you're choosing a topic, you don't choose something that is controversial and has a lot of secrecy around it that makes it very difficult for you to collect data. You remember that your MBA program or your EMBA program has a time, is time bound, and you want to finish within your long essay within a particular time period. And if you're not very careful, you get swamped into data collection, you never finish your data collection. So just keep that in mind. Some of the political topics are welcome, but you should avoid those controversial ones in which the discourse in the media kind of evolves so rapidly that by the time you finish collecting your data, the viewpoints of everybody in the media has changed. And by the time you come and finish your conclusion, okay, so I was emphasizing here earlier that it's possible that a student may be interested in an area that is a very broad topic, like I mentioned service marketing or strategic management, or the student could be interested in a theme like operations management. I said it's quite a broad area. So what in that area are you interested in? So we would like you to choose a sub theme within that area, and then within that particular theme, and then do a research on it. So instead of saying I don't want, you want to do a research on total quality management, which aspect of total quality management are you interested in? Or which aspect of production management are you interested in? So try to choose a sub-theme instead of choosing a course title, which looks like more of a textbook. Now, there are certain times that students also choose very narrow topics. Narrow topics like they just try to study a phenomenon which or an event that happened, which is not necessarily bad, but an event is also could also be a one instant event that looks more like witch hunting than rather more of a research. For example, somebody is in a hall of residence and just gets up one morning and says he wants to do a research on why John left Sarah, meaning that he's trying to look into the relationships. And I would advise that a student like that should rather be concerned about determinants of breakup among undergraduates. That's kind of a broader and a much more less narrow viewpoint, and it helps you to collect data from different students to build a better understanding and a more reliable and accurate results. However, if you still want to choose something that is narrowly focused on an event, make sure the event is so unique that you can learn something from. I've seen examples being causing financial loss to the state, evidence from the Senate case, or evidence from the Wyoming case. So that's quite a unique event that happened, and you could learn a lot from. So you could actually also narrow down to that one. But I will advise that make sure that when you are narrowing down to one single event, you also have access to the information. Otherwise, if it just happened between only one person or two people, after those two people, interviewing those two people, you are finished, you are saturated. You don't know where to look for more data from. And then it becomes very difficult to come up with a very critical review or a critical conclusion that has a balanced opinion on what happened. So you try to avoid common topics, look for or generally broad topics, look for a sub-theme that is related to the broader topic or the common topic. Try to avoid topics that are too narrow to an event, a single event that could never happen again. But if you want to study that, make sure you have access to that data and there's enough information for you to be able to do a good analysis of that particular event. Then try to also avoid topics which are or related to politics and religion that try to sway you away from the discipline that you belong to, maybe accounting, finance, management information systems, HR. Try to make sure that whatever you are choosing, it still has a relevance to what you want to, the discipline that you belong to. So now that you have an idea of what could influence the choice of a topic, I want to just move to the next step and talk about um, what you should avoid. And now I want to talk about what can influence the choice of a topic. That's the second part. Now, what can influence the choice of a topic? There are quite a number of things, but what is dominant is these six things that 6 viewpoints or factors that are put across here. One being the fact that many of us as students we start our long essays by thinking about what we want, our own interest. So it's not a wrong thing to do. In fact, that is the right place to start from. What is your interest? You are the first variable in this equation. What is your interest? What are you interested in? What do you want to what do you want to know? You are the one going to wake up at 2 a.m. to do the reading and doing the write-up. So we expect you to have an interest in that area. If you don't have an interest, it's more difficult for you to start. I've been emphasizing the fact that sometimes you could draw your topic from an experience that you have had in class or even an experience you have had in office. For example, a student who I was talking to some time ago was telling me that it's finding difficult to choose a topic to research on. And I was chatting with her concerning her current life and what she does. And she was telling me that she's a mother and she's taking time off work, but currently has a 3-year-old daughter who is very excited about different adverts. And anytime an advert is playing on TV, you see the child reacting to it either by dancing or trying to repeat the words. So I was saying that that's interesting. You could actually do a study on the impact of advertising on children. And your daughter is a starting point for you to start from. So sometimes you may have an experience. Some students choose their areas of research based on a topic that they was taught in class. Maybe they went to a class in OBM, and that's organization behavior management, and you realize that there was even something interesting that was taught in the class, and he's interested in taking it further into research. So you could draw from that. Sometimes students draw from their own office environments. But whatever it is, you should have an interest in the area. When we mention that particular topic, you should have some basic knowledge. If I mention going to space right now, most of you tell me that you don't have much understanding of what happens in space. Maybe the closest information you have about it is watching videos and movies on Star Wars or maybe Avengers. That's what you have. However, if I mention corruption and you're a public admin student, you may say, oh, this is interesting. Oh, I know something about corruption, especially in an African context. And I can start my concept, my understanding. What I'm trying to emphasize is that the knowledge that you have becomes the bedrock or the foundation to be able to build more knowledge. So if you don't have any idea of the topic area, it means you have to do more reading to even start to be able to appreciate the new knowledge that you are supposed to even learn. So it's good that you start with an area that you have some basic understanding and then build upon it. If you have no understanding, it shows how much work you are supposed to do in that area to gain understanding in that particular topic. The next thing that influences your topic is your supervisor. Your supervisor is the one who is going to supervise you. He's the one going to spend time and talk to you about the work. He's even the one going to mark it. So it's advisable as a student to make sure that you have your research interests aligned with that of your potential supervisor. Most supervisors come from the department that you belong to, and you'll be required by your department to submit a topic or a proposal for which they will assess and use to assign you a supervisor. It's important that then you know who are the supervisors in your department. So for example, when you are in a department, let's say like HR, there are quite a number of department supervisors there. Almost all the lecturers there are capable of supervising you. So the best thing for you to do is for you to go online, and then the business school website, you could actually find the faculty profile and faculty, and then try to get a list of the faculty by department, and then read about the profiles of the different people in the department, read about the works they have done, the research they have researched on, so that you can narrow down in making a choice for the supervisor that you like to work with. Because when you contact that supervisor and tell them, oh, I read that you have done this and that and that, and I'm interested in taking it further, the supervisor will be very happy to work with you. And most often than not, if the supervisor realizes that you are going to extend his work, or you're even going to research an area that he's interested in, he gives you a lot of support because he may have enough information to share with you. However, just for example, you want to do something on why Ghana has not gone to space, which is a very remote topic for somebody in a business school. And then you are paired with a lecturer who doesn't know anything about space. He's just going to watch, and you're insisting that you want to do a research on that. He's just going to just watch your work and just look for adjectives and mistakes, grammatical errors in your work. He's not going to be able to contribute any substance to the actual methodology and actual content that you need to be able to review and be able to understand about the area. And that means that at the end of the day, if he's marking your work, it could affect you. So you want to make sure that you have You have chosen a topic that has relevance to what your supervisors or the discipline that you belong to. So go online, Google the lecturers' names, get to know the work they have done, and start making sure that you choose areas of research that they could be interested in. Some supervisors even are happy if you approach them and start talking to them, because then they can go ahead and tell the HOD that, oh, I and Kwame now have started talking, or I and Abuna Atabuachi have started discussing the work, and we would like you to supervise. I would like to supervise her and help her with her work. So it's advisable to try to make sure that you have done some reading about the supervisors and done some good understanding, read about their work and know their areas of specialization. It's not every supervisor that is interested in supervising a particular area of research. Okay. The next thing that could influence your choice of your topic is your data source. Quite a number of students like to choose a topic based on their data source. So, for example, Amefrie could be working in MTN or could be working in Flagstaff House, and he wants to do something around the presidency. And she thinks she can get data from there, so she's more interested in doing that research. Sometimes maybe somebody wants to work in future in maybe Cowbank. So someone like a Kia may say that, okay, I want to do something on customer satisfaction in the banking industry, evidence from Cowbank. And that's quite interesting topic to research on. But the objective is that she wants to end up doing a study on Cowbank to gain entry and start talking to people in Cowbank. Then she might end up getting a job there. That is not a bad thing to do, but you have to make sure that you can have access to the data, because the time that you may be collecting the data, you may realize that it could happen that you don't have access anymore. I've had a personal experience in which I chose a bank to do my research on, my PhD research. By the time I went to do my recognizance, that's initial entry, and they gave me access. Then I came back after about 2 months to do the in-depth study after I've developed my questionnaire. When I got back to the bank had been sold to a Nigerian bank, and they had gone into a very big merger, so I couldn't do anything about it. And the new bank, well, no, was not interested in what I was going to research on. So, and my contacts have left the bank. So it could happen that you find yourself in such a scenario that you chose a particular data source. You were, instead of choosing the topic first, you went out to make sure that the data source is selected. You are fitting the topic to the data source. And then if you lose the data source, then you have a problem. There are certain times that students choose a data source and then their topic is changed. Like a student who wants to do something on challenges in managing accounting or bad accounting practices. And then he chooses he chose a particular SME, and he goes in and realize that all the accounting practices are up to standard and they are good. There's now bad accounting practice there. And he finds it very difficult to continue the study. Now he says he's changing the title to "Why Don't You Have Bad Accounting Practices?" So don't try to always fit a topic to a particular data source. If you're not very careful, you have challenges if the topic changes or some of the variables in the topic do not reflect the data source that you want to research on. Then sometimes students are trying to choose their topic based on current trends or what's happening in society and then the news. So that's not bad. It's also welcome. The challenge with that is sometimes the things in the media are now evolving or they are emerging. So there's no maturity in the area. So what you realize is that as you choose a topic in that particular domain or that particular theme, you may realize that there's not much knowledge out there, or people are now don't have a better understanding about it. Awareness is low, so the number of people who can give you information about it is few. And that then brings a challenge in trying to do your analysis. So you want to try and make sure that even if you are choosing a current trend and evolving issue, you want to make sure that the thing that is being you have selected has gained understanding, and the respondents can be able to give you relevant information or relevant feedback on your questions. So that's one thing you should keep in mind about society and the news and the trends that you want to study. Then you have sponsors. Sponsors also influence the choice of a topic, especially if you somebody is sponsoring your education and says that do a research on my company. It's not good, it's not bad. It's very, very excellent. It's even welcome to get sponsored to sponsor you. The only challenge here is that sometimes the sponsor may require you to do something on their company, and then you may realize that you may be finding out to be critical. You may end up coming up with certain findings that may not be of interest to some of the people in the company, especially maybe the person who even signs the check for you. So what happens? In that scenario, I would advise you to write your critical report for the university as required of you. But when it comes to the lectures that the company who is sponsoring your sponsor, you may have to write a different report for them, and then you have to water it down a little bit, or you have to be very, very wise, or have some wisdom in what you communicate and what you don't communicate. Otherwise, the person who was signing your check for you to get your sponsorship may end up not signing it anymore, and then you may be asked to refund it. There have had scenarios like that where companies allow students to do their research on them because they are being sponsored, and the findings is good, but doesn't. It's not. Some people in the company are not happy, and they're not very careful. The student may lose his scholarship. So you will always have to apply some tact and wisdom in trying to communicate results that you have from your sponsor. Then you also have a scenario in which is the best scenario. Students choose topics based on research gaps. Research gaps are discrepancies in existing research that needs to be researched on. Let me just give an example. So supposing somebody becomes a minister of state, he realized that he will have to read the handing over notes of the previous minister of state so that he can be able to know where to start from, even though he may have his own agenda. So research gap is a similar thing, that whenever you're carrying out research, it's good to know the handing over notes of people who have done research in that area, read their existing work, know the directions for future needs attention that they have emphasized in their work, so that it can become part of what to frame what you want to do in your new opportunity that you're trying to carry out in research. So if I want to do research on, let's say, motivation in the workplace, I need to do a reading on current knowledge on motivation in the workplace, and even try to do the reading in different countries, and even the readings in Africa and even in Ghana. Then from there, be able to identify all this existing knowledge on motivation in the workplace. What do we know and what don't we know? What are the views of the factor that influence motivation? What are the theories that have been used to study it? What countries have been studied? What kind of issues have been studied in these countries? So by examining these issues, I can be able to say that, okay, now that I have knowledge about what has been done, I can then look at what are the key recommendations that have been done have been echoed or been suggested by these researchers for future research. And then I'll build my work based on that. That makes the work much more scientific, because it means that you have taken review of the past to be able to establish what exists in terms of current knowledge. And then you'll be able to look for the gaps in current knowledge and be able to make sure that your work has opportunity of contributing something new, because you know what has been done, and then you have been able to build your work that you're going to do on the premise on what needs to be done. If you don't know what needs to be done and you don't start from there, how then do you show that you can be original? How then do you show that you are contributing new knowledge, which is different from your existing knowledge? How can we say that there's some uniqueness about your work? You can be able to establish some uniqueness because you know what has been done. And then you are able to tell us what has not been done and what you will bring on board by carrying out this research. So let's take an example and look at. You can pause and drink some water before we continue. Some of you are thirsty. I have water by me. Anyway, welcome Alberta, and welcome Ifeoforiwa, welcome Cynthia and Damian and Dorothy and Eben and Edem. Welcome Eric Yaboa and Felix Mafo. Felix has been there for some time, and Felix Ofori. And welcome Sheena and Jeffrey Aqua. And then iPhone, welcome. Somebody's called iPhone, and William Ifa. Okay, so Ruth, welcome. Now let's look at this. This is corporate governance, a corporate governance research. These are coming from the slides on Sakai that I've already uploaded. Okay, so please, you should take note of that. So let me just read it a little bit from here. So this study is called Corporate Governance and Financing Decisions of Ghanaian Listed Firms. That's the title of the paper. I was telling you that last time that we have the topic and we have got the title. The title is longer than the topic. So what you have here is the top title. The topic is just corporate governance. The sub-theme that he's researching on is financing decisions. The context is Ghana. The population he's looking at is the Ghanaian listed firms. So keep that in mind. Usually a title is the topic plus the sub-theme or where the contribution lies. Then the context and then the population. So that's what you see here. Most good titles of a long essay have such a thing like that. The topic he wants to research on, the sub-area or sub-issue or focus he wants to focus on concerning the topic. Then he has got all the contribution within the topic. Then he has got what we call the context, the domain, the country or geographic location being Ghana. And then we also have the population or domain that he's focusing on, the Ghanaian listed firms. So the listed firms or firms on the stock exchange. Okay, so let's read. The first thing that we have here is that corporate governance has been identified in the previous studies to influence firms' financing and capital structure decisions, which influence also affect their performance. Okay, so he said that current studies in corporate governance have found out that corporate governance influences the financing decisions of firms, and he has given the references to that literature. This actual article was written by Professor Abo, the former dean of the business school. So let me just continue. Now, he's a professor of finance. Then he goes on to say that these empirical studies, so these empirical studies means that the study he's reading is on these, the studies he's reading are empirical. Empirical means that you have data in it, primary data collected and then analyzed. So these empirical studies tended, Charles, I will come back to you. These empirical studies tended to focus mainly on developed economies with inconclusive results. So he's saying that the current studies on corporate governance have focused more on developed economies. And that is that when something has focused more on developed economies, it means that it's at the expense of developing. So developing has not received much research in that area. Then he continues on to say that these studies are focused on developed economies with inconclusive results. It also means that the studies on developed economies are inconclusive. That means that there's a need for more studies on developed economies. So in that second sentence, we have two gaps there. One of the gaps is that there is too much studies on developed economies at the expense of developing economies. One. The second gap is the fact that apart from that gap, the studies have focused too much on developed economies, and those studies are still inconclusive. So future research in developed economies should try to unravel that inconclusiveness. That's two gaps there. Then usually gaps are echoed in literature by seeing them as words that show discrepancies. So for example, let's say very little, focus mainly. So those words help you to identify gaps. Then it goes on to say that in very little, however, has been done on corporate governance in sub-Saharan Africa, especially with firms financing decisions. So what is emphasizing here is that even though we know that there's much studies on developed economies, there's little studies on, very few studies in developing. And even in sub-Saharan Africa, there's even more, very fewer studies. And even especially more with the firms financing decisions. So what we realize is that the guy is emphasizing that when you come to sub-Saharan Africa, which is a developing economy, we consider developing economies, you realize that even there's not much studies on corporate governance. So there's a need for more studies in that area. So now we have the fact that we don't have much studies on developed economies, the fact that there's inconclusiveness in developed economy study, and then the fact that there's even more the need for more studies in sub-Saharan Africa concerning corporate governance, and even especially with firms financing decisions. Then he comes to Ghana. So you see how he's logically building the argument. He starts from developed economies, developing economies, then comes to sub-Saharan Africa. Then he goes to Ghana. He said in Ghana, for instance, economic development and restructuring have introduced modern forms of business activity and diverse financial structures like Ghana Stock Exchange in the past 2 decades. So Ghanaian firms are thus exposed to more financing options than previously. So when you expose firms to more financing options, it means that the issues that come up has to do with corporate governance again. Because now they have more financing options. How then do you manage this money, that opportunities that's coming to them? So he said that it is crucial to determine how current issues in corporate governance affect financing decisions of Ghanaian firms. Then he goes on to say that this paper specifically examines the relationship between the various variables of corporate governance and financing decisions or capital structure decisions of firms listed in Ghana Stock Exchange during the 6-year period, 1998 to 2003. That last statement is what we call the research papers. So you see, before the person could build this particular research problem, he needed to read on the area and identify what has been done in the research and identify what gaps exist. And after identifying what gaps exist, he even looked at what gaps exist in terms of academia, the literature that is there, and saw what is recent in Ghana. Juxtaposed the two to each other and said that, okay, because there's one, we need more research in South Africa and concerning corporate governance, especially with firms financing decisions. In Ghana that I live in, I've also realized that Ghanaian firms are being exposed to more financing options. So I'm now going to check whether this is corporate governance is even an issue, and what is the relationship between the various variables of corporate governance and capital structure decisions of firms who are listed in the Ghana Stock Exchange, or who have been given opportunity for more financing options. So what you have seen here is a very good research problem that leads to a research purpose. And then you realize that the title of the research is also linked to the research paper, the focus of the research. Somebody is asking me that, is the research question the same as the research topic? No. The research question is a question. The research topic is a topic. The topic is usually shorter. The question is questioning the topic. So I can say I'm doing corporate governance, but what question am I asking to answer in corporate governance? My question I want to answer in corporate governance is I want to examine the relationship between various variables of corporate governance and financing decisions of firms in Ghana, which have been listed in the Ghana Stock Exchange between 1998 and 2003. Now, Mumpari, I saw your hand is up. Can you ask your question? I'm unmuting you. Can you ask your question?
Yes, sir. My question was on the fact that is it possible to also start a research into like a particular place that no research has been done on? If it's like a relatively new area that no research has been done on, is it possible to start a research, and how do you approach it in the context of having to cite further research that has been done previously, perhaps that's in it, for which reason you are embarking on such a research?
Thank you very much. So Mumpari, there's nothing new under the sun. It's very difficult to say that you are going to research an area that nothing has been done on. The word itself is research. So you are researching. A previous search has taken place and you are going back to search. So the challenge is that it might be that for that particular topic, no research has been done on, but in the broader theme, it belongs to a larger body of knowledge that there is some research. So you can build upon other related knowledge in the area to be able to inform what you are researching on. So look at COVID-19. It's quite something new. It just happened to us. But this is not the first pandemic that the world has seen. There are a lot of references to other previous ones. So most of the researchers are building on prior knowledge, which have got similar pattern to be able to construct new knowledge on this new area. So always there is some body of knowledge that the team belongs to in a broader sense. So we start building from that area to be able to inform this area. Let me give another example. You realize that supposing you are interested in motivation in the workplace, and then you go and choose a very interesting area of study like motivation in the workplace, evidence from mechanic shops in Ghana, which is a very informal setup for some, maybe the informal mechanic shops or wayside mechanic shops is what you are talking about. Somebody will say that there's no literature on wayside mechanic shops, but that is why you are just collecting the data. There's still literature on motivation in the workplace. There was still literature on motivation in groups or smaller groups. There's still literature on working in groups or working in teams. So there's some body of knowledge to be able to build from. You can't say that there's no knowledge that you are not going to build from. There is some broader body of knowledge that you can build from. So you could actually learn from the broader body of knowledge that the theme you are trying to research on belongs to. Umpari, I hope I've explained it to you. I've muted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's fine.
Okay then. Thank you. That's a very good question. But please, you see, when you use names like Mumpari and things, how can I assign marks to those who are asking questions? Like Abnata Boachi's name is there. I know her name. But I don't know Mumpari. Is Mumpari your actual name? If it's your actual name, I'm sorry. But when I go back onto the platform and I look at the log of those who asked questions and posted questions and were interacting with me on Zoom, I can't be able to just post it with your name. Some people put index numbers, but sometimes I can't call index number to ask a question. So maybe you can add your index number and your name so that we could actually know who somebody has written his name as AA. So how can I talk to anyway?
Okay, sir, please. I just changed my name. The name is Michael Usopare.
Good. Then you can add your index number then so that when I go, because you have been last time to ask a question. I've seen that you are very active. So I'll take care of you. Anyway, let's continue. Somebody said that, hey, Prof, so what about me? If I've seen you, don't worry. Okay, so we have here what Prof. Abel wrote, but we'll come back to research problems later. So let's continue. Okay, so now another example. So this one is about mobiles and development in Africa, and somebody's writing a very small piece of a problem on it. People write research problems from different perspectives. So let's see this one. Extant literature, that means that existing literature, has fairly covered studies on mobile phones and usage and mobiles for development in sub-Saharan Africa. The studies include mobile phones and fishermen and farmers in Ghana, mobile sharing practices in Ghana, mobile phones and development in Nigeria, and mobile payments in Uganda, and mobile ownership and social capital in South Africa. Now, what he has done in the first paragraph is to take stock of the current studies. So he's complementing the work that's been done there. Usually, whenever you are presenting a research gap, you see that authors like to complement. Like you say, Prof. Abel started by previous studies on corporate governance has found out this and that and that. So we usually expect you to complement existing research before you just get up and say that these are the gaps that exist. What has existing research done? So what can I use to complement existing research? So that's what you see here, he doing that. And so after complementing existing research, then he goes on to point out the discrepancy. Okay, so let me take my time a little bit. So despite these studies, there is still a call for more studies. Who is saying the call? The call is coming from those who are up here. That despite the studies that they have done, there is still a call for more studies to test earlier findings from these papers in different contexts. Let's try different countries, or even in the same country, let's try different contexts. Maybe the studies were done in Accra. Can you try maybe Kumasi? Or the studies were done in Northern region. Can you try another region? And then different microeconomic activities, like the Ghana study was done in fishermen and farmers. Can we look at maybe street vendors? Can we look at Uber drivers? So we can look at different people who have, or different groups of society, or different microeconomic activity and how they use mobile phones. That's what he's just emphasizing. So anybody who wants to build upon this can see that this study will seek to examine the impact of mobile phones or the adoption and use of mobile phones among street vendors in markets or in the streets of Accra, something like that. So you could among Uber drivers, the adoption of mobile applications among Uber drivers or among riders too in Ghana, in the transportation sector in Ghana or something like that. So you could actually build upon the gaps that people have emphasized in the existing literature. Okay, so let's continue from there. Now, your research topic has to be original. It has to be of interest to the researcher and the supervisor. When you add your research topic to the research gap, then you get your research title. So in generating these things, you have to make sure whatever you are choosing has to be timely and relevant. What do I mean by that? We don't want you to research on things which are so much outdated in terms of knowledge creation, and nobody is interested in knowledge concerning that area. Somebody says that he's doing a study on unemployment in Ghana, and then he's studying 1975. Now, unless you are doing a historical analysis, we wonder what unemployment in Ghana in 1975 will help, how it will help us. So you have to try to make sure that you try to choose a gap which comes from literature within the last 5 years or 7 years, so that the potential for originality could be high. The reason why I'm saying that is that if you go further and you choose gaps which are very old, it's likely that somebody has done research to address it after the years have passed by. So we try to choose gaps which are within the last maybe 5 years, sometimes even 3 years, or sometimes even 6, not more than about 7 years, and try so that he can be able to show that this work is still relevant, knowledge is still required in that area. We also expect you that whatever research title that you choose out of your research gap plus your research topic, it responds to something that the need for knowledge in the area. And then you also want to choose something which is specific and distinct, not too broad. I've talked about that earlier. Then incorporate the main purpose of the research in your title, which we saw earlier. Prof. Abel's title is linked to the purpose of the study that he chose. And then be clever and captivating. Have a very interesting area of research that is clever and captivating and not forgettable. Means that and the way the research is even formulated, the title is formulated, people can remember it. And the questions that flow from it can also be answered through a research design, which I'll talk about as, or what we're just trying to say is that the research question should make the research endeavor researchable. Don't choose a question that is not making the endeavor researchable. Okay, so let's continue. To be able to do this, we expect the student to start by identifying the academic discipline he belongs to, and then identify the broad topic that he's researching within which is consistent with the academic discipline. Then he determines a scope, which I'll talk about. And then he determines, he conducts some preliminary literature review. And from the preliminary literature review, he writes a research problem, determines the purpose and objectives, and revisits the topic to extend it to become a title. Okay, those of you just joined us, the title is an equation which includes the topic. So let me type it. Title is equal to topic plus the contribution or the research gap or the sub-theme you want to research on, or sub-theme or the gap, and then plus the context that you have chosen, the geographic context, plus the population, the people you are targeting, who are you doing the study on. So this is some of the building the variables that come into, I have to share to everybody. This is the equation for a title of research title. Let me just write this one, research title. Okay, so you can keep it in mind. So topic plus contribution, the sub-theme or the gap, plus the context plus the population will give you the research title. So nobody should ask me now, what is the title, the subset of the topic, or the topic is a subset of the title. Look at what I have here. The topic is rather a subset of the title. Okay. So I've typed it for you. Please look at it. So let's continue. Okay. Oh, I could have even typed it here on the screen. Don't worry, let's continue. It's in the chat. Now, for every business problem, there could be 1,001 research problems to address it. What am I saying? Most often than not, students will start from the business problem that they have witnessed or they have encountered. So you have a business problem, and then you find different ways to be able to address it. So let's say you're an organization that is declining employee productivity. The question that you have in mind is that how can the company improve its productivity of its employees? That's the business concept you have in mind. And then you realize that then this may be coming from finance or HR or even accounting. Then you realize that for me to do a research in that area, the concept I have here, or the topic of the phenomenon is employee productivity. Let me go to literature and check scholar.google.com or other platforms, which I'll talk about later, and check what has been done in this area of research already. And I go and check and I realize that there's so much literature in the area. So I search for employee productivity in organizations. Then out of my search, I come up with 2 different research questions, which can be 2 different studies. One is what factors influence employee productivity? That means that there are studies that look into, I want to look at the factors that can influence employee productivity, but it could actually be at a different level. It can be at the unit level, it can be at the group level, it can be at the application of a particular machinery, or it can be at the whole institution or a branch level. So it could be at different level. So I have to determine the scope in which I'm looking at that particular question. The second question is that what are the characteristics of productive employees? That is a different question. The second one presupposes that in the organization, there's something like Best Employee Award, Employee of the Month Award, in which we have defined what makes, what are the characteristics of a productive employees. So when somebody achieves that particular criteria and satisfies it beyond measure, we can say and put a quality measure on him and say that you are the most productive employee of the month. So in such a scenario, all I'll do is that I'll go to the companies and look for their definition of who a productive employee is. That is different from the factors that influence employee productivity. You may say they are related. The first one could be different, could be a different type of study, which could happen at different levels. The second one is much more about a concept called productive employee, and I'm going to have to go and look out for who is the productive employee and try to see what measurement they may have in the organization for looking at the productive employee. They may be interrelated in terms of the findings, but there are two different research and two different research approaches. I could have different questions. I could even ask, what are the socioeconomic factors that influence productivity of employees? Or what are the job design? What are the motivational factors? All of these are different type of studies I'm doing on the same research problem and on the same business problem. So we say that for every business problem, we could have 1,001 research problems or research questions to be able to address the business problem. And remember that I told that research is partly a process of discovery and partly a process of knowledge creation, that somebody may bring part of the answer, another person may also bring part of the answer. So that's what you are seeing in this scenario. And if I answer one of the questions, I get part of the answer. Another person can also bring another part of the answer. Okay. So now let's see the scope. The scope can be that I could research on productive employees in one part of the organization, maybe at the marketing unit or at the HR unit, or I could actually study different functions or parts of the organization. I can compare sales and marketing and production. Or I can study one organization. I'm studying MTN, I'm studying Vodafone, or I'm studying Ministry of Finance. I can compare what are the factors that influence productive employees in American embassy as compared to the Dutch embassy. Or I could actually look at it in a sector, where I look at the banking industry. So the scope, and I can even look at it in terms of the country, or you can compare two countries. So the scope can be defined by what you can have access to and what could be interesting to share new insight. Sometimes some gaps exist at the scope level. For example, you may realize that there's quite much knowledge on a particular topic at the firm level, but we don't know much about it at the industry level. So we want to know what are the industry level factors that influence this phenomenon. Because we know the firm level factor, but we don't know the industry level factors. So now you move to the industry level. Sometimes you may want to compare two countries. So you may even say that what are the industry level factors that influence, let's say, financing of SMEs? A comparison between Nigeria and Ghana. So you are looking at industry level factors in Ghana, industry level factors in Nigeria, and you are comparing them. So now you have got a meta level study where we say that you are comparing at the national level, two different countries. So it's a meta level. The national level is macro. Okay, so please note that you can define the scope of your study depending on what is of interest and what you have access to data. Don't go and choose a scope that you know you don't have access to data. So from there, then we conduct a preliminary literature review. We read the literature to be able to gain some knowledge. So that's what will take us to. What do we read in the literature? Which literature do we read? So I'm going to pause and allow you to ask questions for about 5 minutes, and I'll come back and continue with the next part of how to then conduct the literature review. Okay. So coming back to our room here, let me ask a question. Let me hear from you. I'm unmuting you. Let me hear from you. If you have a question, you can ask. If you have a question, you can raise your hand and ask. Or you can type your question. Philemon and Marilyn, welcome. Charles, you're also welcome. Mano JC, Mabel. Mabel has written your name, Mabel, and your index number. Interesting. Gideon Avoyon, welcome. iPhone, welcome. And I'm waiting for your questions. I'm waiting for your questions. We have 80 participants now. Please let me have your questions. Let me have your questions. If there's no question, I'll just continue. But questions are important because it also shows I'm able to check whether you understand what we are teaching. Okay, young Sako there. Hey, young Sako there. I'll be very happy to know your name because you have been very active. That time to you were asking me the questions. You had a question for me. So young Sako there, you are unmuted now. Richard, welcome. Nelson Odoi. Okay, welcome. Yeah.
I said my real name is Sako de Samu.
Yeah, but young Sako there is why is your is your real name is Sako there. Okay, so let me hear from you.
Okay, so I wanted to be sure whether, so after knowing your research topic, after going through all these process, that is when after this you go to the literature review. I wanted to confirm that.
Okay, so that's a very good question. That's a very good question. I'm not surprised. You know what the time is. Okay, so somebody, so this is what really happens. It's a chicken and egg issue. Some people start with an epiphany. He's sleeping and he just realizes that, hey, Charlie, I have to choose a research topic and start this work. And then he said, where should I start from? Then you just go to Google and just start typing things. Others also have an interest, as the lecturer was teaching. And he taught, and then he got to a topic. Sakwa, which discipline do you belong to?
Finance.
Okay, so he realizes that there's this whole issue about foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investments. That's a very broad area. So he just goes to Google Scholar and then types in foreign direct investment or any of the search engines I'm going to tell you about. Then after getting the foreign direct investment, the different literature are coming up. Then you start reading the abstracts. Okay, foreign direct investment, factors that influence foreign direct investment in Namibia.
Okay.
Bangladesh perspectives of foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment in India, has it helped or has it not helped? So you start seeing all these things. You say, okay, Charlie, I like the India one. I can also do the same thing. Foreign direct investment in Ghana, has it helped or has it not helped? Then you start reading that one more specifically to gain more understanding before he then asks more. Then you can come back and say, okay, what did this person find? What can I replicate from his study? What did he say that we should try and learn from his study? So that's what he will do. Okay, somebody is asking that, Prof, so in other words, research topic is the same as the chapters. No, your research topic is not your chapter. Chapter 1, chapter 2 are all different. Your research topic is a phenomenon you want to study. Foreign direct investment, what you want to study is your research topic. Is in setting the research, Jire Yeboah, welcome back. I remember you from last week. In setting the research questions, is it always necessary to relate to the area of study? Have you seen the thesis that you submitted, the long essay? Have you seen a copy before, or have you even seen the your certificate? You said this degree is awarded to having satisfied all conditions or all requirements in this particular discipline. So you have to satisfy the requirements in the discipline. The thesis can be the long essay or the degree can be awarded to you. Because even in during the congregations and your graduation ceremony, they tell you that you have these people who are standing here and be awarded this particular degree have satisfied everything. So the only way we can see that you are satisfied is by you trying to make sure that you have done something in your discipline. It doesn't mean that you cannot do something multidisciplinary. Let's take if Sarkodie chooses to do something on mobile banking. It's interesting. Mobile banking could be said to be a finance topic, but it has technology there. It also has a marketing dimension. It also has an HR dimension. So if you're in finance, ask the finance questions. If you're in marketing, ask the marketing questions on customer service in mobile banking, customer perception in mobile, or injustice or perceived justice and fairness in mobile banking. If you're in IS, information system, look at the technology. Look at the perceptions of people concerning mobile banking apps or mobile banking services and how the app influences it. So the discipline you belong to tells you what questions you should ask. That is why you should always consider the scientific community that you belong to. Charles, ask your question. Charles, ask your question. Okay, Daniel Domayon, you can ask your question.
Okay, sir, I want to find out in a situation you get stuck, like the example you gave about your research on the bank and you got stuck, do you just stop, go back and choose another thing, or you have a way of going around it?
Okay, remember I told you that the research process to have the flexibility of revisiting previous activities. When I had I went back to change my research design. I dropped the company and bought a new company in it. So I had to now search for a new company. And what you are saying is true. I stopped doing my PhD on banking and I chose Casa Preco, and then one fashion company, and then one car company. So now it changed my study. Initially, I was going to go the banking approach, but I realized that I didn't get, when the bank dropped out and other institutions dropped out, I changed all the approach I was going to use. So now I went back to look for different companies which were available to me. So they can happen that way. But the companies should have sufficient information to address the research issue.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. Richard, welcome. I've not heard from you. Please, can one continue with the topic the research at their first degree? It's possible. But it just happened that, be careful, the same supervisor that will supervise you again. He may not be interested in that. Number two, you have to check whether the topic is still current. You finished your first degree maybe 6 years ago, and you come back to your university and you are doing this program again. So you want to be very careful. You don't choose something that is past and doesn't have relevance today. Is a long essay the same as the thesis? The thesis is much more analytical in instance of theory contribution, and that one are done by the research-oriented degrees like MPhil and PhD. Long essay is a little bit, has not got much more focus on the theoretical rigor, because the researchers, those who do thesis, are trying to become researchers and will end up teaching in that area. MBA usually have to contribute back to practice and have to demonstrate competence in understanding the concepts and explaining and applying it to industry. So the MBA, the way we supervise you is quite different relatively different from the way we supervise an MPhil. An MPhil should have a sufficient knowledge of the area or PhD and be able to contribute to academia in terms of that scientific knowledge. But the MBA, your contribution to practice and policy could be much more of our drive and focus. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Charles, yes, Charles.
Yes. Please, sir, after defining the scope of your study.
Yes. Charles. Charles. Oh, we lost Charles. Okay. We lost Charles. Charles, we lost you.
Hello. Yeah. Hello, sir, I'm here.
Yeah, okay.
I'm here, sir.
After defining the scope of your study, what happens?
After defining the scope of your study, is it also necessary to point out area which is of relevance, but due to resources, you're not able to look into those areas?
That one you said in your, what we call that, research limitations and research limitations and future research directions. So in your conclusion of your long essay, you are going to write that you couldn't do this and this because of the fact that you are limited by resources, and future research can look in that area. Okay, so Solomon is asking a question, then I can start teaching. Let me take the last two questions from here. Okay, Solomon is saying that, okay, we have a lot of people doing research every year. How are you able to know that a research topic has not been tackled by someone? By searching the previous research that has been done already. So that would be a good point to start from. So what happens if you realize your supervisor is not helping you much? The age-old question. Maybe he doesn't really have time, hence delay your work. Can you offer another change your supervisor? With weekend MBA, it's a dicey issue because of so many dimensions and variables in it. You see, weekend MBA and EMBA are special programs. Your supervisor is assigned to you and shared by equity and sometimes by seniority, in the sense that people are paid for supervising you, paid extra for supervising weekend MBA and EMBA. Now, it means that if you go and take somebody to another person, who are you going to replace? In case the person had 5 students and you multiply it by how much he's getting by each student, and the person is not helping. If he moves from it, who are you going to use this HOD? Who are you going to use to replace the person? So it's very difficult. What we can do is I can make formal complaints so that the HOD can step in. as an HOD myself, I've been circumstances have happened in which I stepped in and tell the lecturer that I want to supervise the students. So now you can have one of my students, or next year I'll give you extra students. The reason being that the students are not having good intimacy with the lecturer. I've had scenarios happen that way. Okay, so that's why I say start early, so that I can know the temperaments of the supervisors, so that when you're assigned to them, you know how to be able to work with them. But as much as possible, it rarely happens, but it could happen. But it's always good to focus on a single problem, doing the research, and cover all topics. That's a very difficult way to understand your question. But what I can say is that you have to read more to see different issues that are coming up, and then end up narrowing down to a single research gap that will lead to a single problem as you are saying it, or a combination of them that will still define your problem. So it's better you start reading and know which of them you want to address. Can a research topic change and evolve as the research takes place, is conducted? Yes, we have mentioned that. Okay, so now it can change, and mine has changed before. Okay, let's look at what we have here. So now let's look at literature review. So we start with literature review. I'll explain, we'll do defining literature review, identify and locating literature, and writing research gaps and topic selection. I don't think we can do number 3 vis-a-vis the time. We are got about 30 or 45 minutes more. Some of you didn't join early, so we'll try and finish around 8:45. So let's see what we can do. So in session 3, we are going to talk about literature review and identifying and locating literature, and then using that one to determine the research gap, and to use that one to choose a topic and then define a title. So by the time we finish completing the whole session 3A, we will be able to do that. Session 3B, which we'll be doing later, is about writing. How do you write it out? So if you look at the chapter 3 of the book, we have got both doing literature review and writing the literature review. So that's what we are going to be doing in the 2 session 3s, this week and next week. Okay. So we are looking at chapter 3. The first part is defining literature review. Now, this definition is a very good definition. I want you to try and remember it. And I want you to know that the things I'm underlining the definition is what I'm going to emphasize on. So you should try and know that very well. Okay, let me just take a question from Tekno. Tekno, quickly, what is your question? Tekno, unmute yourself and answer the question. Tekno.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Oh, Tekno is a female. I didn't know. Okay.
I'm Michelle.
Michelle, okay, Michelle. We have emphasized people using their real names so that we can give them the appropriate marks and recognition. Okay.
My concern is, do you organize workshops so that we could get a better understanding of what you are teaching us, so that it will be practical and then it will help us, because we are supposed to submit our topics by May.
Oh, but right now, we have got lockdown, so we can't teach.
Wait.
Okay, right now, Michelle, because of lockdown, it's very difficult to talk about workshops, but I do workshops too. What I say is true. However, because you are my student too, I teach you in the class as well as I teach as well as I teach in the workshop. However, let me emphasize here that if you go online and you watch the videos that I put on Sakai and what I'm teaching you, I'll try as much as possible to help you. I know in the workshop setting, you sit down with the person, help the person write and formulate the research problem and the research topic. I know that, but I'll do my best to be able to give you feedback when you do your own and you write it up. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, somebody's asking, do you normally get research questions based on the topic, or you get topic based on research questions? It's a chicken and egg issue. Sometimes you have a question in mind, but the question will come from a theme or a topic. So technically, as soon as you have a question, you have an area already. So the question will have to question something. The question, what it is questioning is the phenomenon. So the phenomenon has to be questioned. So before a question can come, an area will exist in your mind. But that question may not be the best question. As you read more about the area, you may get a better question. That's how I should answer it. You are asking very intelligent questions today. I don't know what's happening. It seems everybody slept at a good place today. Anyway, let's continue. Okay. Or you're gaining understanding. So what is literature review? So literature review is a synthesis of available resources and materials which have a strong relation with the topic in question, accompanied by a description and a critical evaluation and a comparative analysis of each work. Okay, this definition has been recited and I've said it out of memory for a long time. So sorry if I was going very fast. But let's take it one by one. The first part said literature review is a synthesis. What does it mean? It means that a synthesis means bringing two or more things together. It also means that anytime you are conducting literature or anytime you are doing academic research, you need to read more than one article or one literature or one material or one resource. You can't depend your whole thesis on one material. Your material or your write-up has to be based on more than one. Because it's a synthesis, and that's what makes it scientific. You have to compare what you know with other people's own. So what you are reading with others, what others have written. So you don't take one person as a given and as the Bible. You have to compare what you have. Even in their own good book being the Bible, they say that some people who are much more diligent, the Bereans, they read and they check when Paul was teaching them, they go back to check what Paul has said with what has been written already. So when we are doing literature review, our objective is to check what one person has said and what others have said and compare them. It's a synthesis of available resources. Bring two or more things, two or more, not only just a minimum, the two is the minimum. So two or more things together. But the two or more things you have selected, you have to have a strong relation with the topic in question. Why would you go and read on farming if you are doing a study on fishing? Why you go and read on foreign indirect investment if all you are doing is on motivation of employees? You read on what is materials that are strong relation with the topic in question. Do you realize what is happening here? Your question that came up earlier, Teresa, you're welcome. The question that came up earlier, what we saw is that, what we emphasized is that the topic that you are going to research on has to be questioned. And then the materials has to be selected based on the topic. So literature review is a synthesis of the available resources and material. The available means that accessible resources and materials. Sometimes we don't like you doing literature review materials which are not accessible. People cannot verify. For example, you go to your village and go and pick materials from district assembly, and then only you have the access to that material. Nobody has access to that material apart from you. That's not good. So we want a synthesis of available resources and material so that we can verify. That's what makes it scientific. We can check its accuracy. Others can verify. So even in doing literature review, you need to be able to provide the references so that others can look at it and go and learn from it. I understand some of you have to leave to join another session, but this video is being recorded, so it will be made available to you. Okay. And I just want to let you know that you get this particular one by Monday, both this one and the last week's one. Okay. Okay, so it's a synthesis of available resources and material with a strong relation to the topic in question, accompanied by a description. Now, after we have selected the materials that we have read, and then we have selected the materials in relation to the topic in question, we need to be able to describe what the materials are saying. And not just describe, we need to critically evaluate and compare the materials with each other. So that is what we do in a literature review. A literature review means that we identify the materials, we make sure that we have a topic first. In fact, you can't start a literature review without a topic. You have to have a topic. When you go to your search engine, what you type in the search button to search for something is the topic. So you type the topic, that will generate a lot of materials for you. Then you choose the one which have a strong relation to what you want to research on or your interest or of interest to you. Then you download them and then you do the synthesis. The synthesis means that you describe what is inside and compare it with each other so that you end up writing it out. So every literature review is focused on a particular topic or a particular area of research, a particular question. So that's the first thing that you should note. Now, why do you do literature review? We do literature review because it becomes the very basis of your argument. Because you are doing an academic work, and because you are going to argue in the academic work, you need to have a theoretical stand or a base on which you argue on. So you review based on the literature. Those of you who have been watching News File or any of these morning news review programs that happens on Saturday, that they review the week and discuss the issues that have risen, that matters are rising during the week. You realize that some person like Kweku Bako, always when he's doing his argument, brings his literature along. So he brings, you see, he has This thing was published in the newspaper in 1984, 1990, 2005, 2015, and he has all the materials there. So as he's arguing, he bases his arguments on the materials. So without reading and without having the materials, how are you be able to argue? What are going to be the basis of your argument? If you say there's been a tremendous increase of crime or of foreign direct investment in Ghana, the question I'll ask you now says who? So who is on whose view or who said it that you are going on that person's review or that person's argument? You are trying to tell us that there has been an increase in this particular phenomenon. So always the literature review in the first point is from the very basis of your argument. You cannot argue if you have not got some knowledge to base your argument upon. It places your research in context within your discipline. So it means that by choosing literature from your discipline, it demonstrates how your research improves your discipline. In other words, the literature review is the meat of your research project. Without it, you cannot even start the argument and writing within the research area. So that is the first thing about literature review. The second thing about literature review is that to justify your arguments or to justify your research, you need to read or conduct a literature review. There are gaps in the area. To be able to prove that gaps exist, you need to review your field, the knowledge that exists in the field, in a closer examination to point out the gaps that exist there. Number two, if you're able to identify these gaps, you can be able to tell us how you're going to improve the area, how you're going to fill the gaps, how you are going to add onto existing knowledge that exists, that has been there already. Then you can also do the literature review because it helps you to be able to identify what has not been done, so that you can be able to point where your originality starts from. The only way you can do that is by reviewing the past, be able to tell the future. Now, when you do your literature review, you end up reading from different people and different authors. So by putting the authors together in your work, it also demonstrates how extensively you have read. Most of the time, when a supervisor looks at your work and looks at it and sees only one or two references and doesn't see the rest of the work, there's no references in it. He says that, where were you arguing from? Who are the senior scholars that you base your work or your arguments upon? And then what is the basis of your argument or your discussion? I can't see enough literature in your work. That means that you have been writing just from your mind or from your head. We expect you to be able to write based on existing literature. You have not read extensively. So your arguments may be flawed or may be narrow in perspective. So we expect you to have done a good review to be able to know. We expect you to read, to be able to know what exists in that particular area before you start your actual endeavor of the research. Now, as you do the reading, you can be able to narrow your research focus by reading. Because as you read more, it will help you identify, oh, these are the different things that have been done. Then it can help you to be able to narrow down or refine what you want to research on. And even ask questions that didn't occur to you. Because as you begin your research, you are beginning your research based on the knowledge you have. So as you read more and as you review the literature, it builds a very good base of knowledge, and then you can make informed choices on what you want to do and informed choice on what questions you want to ask. Because which questions have been answered, which questions have not been answered. You can be able to determine that as you do the review. Okay. Identifying the literature. So let's continue from there. So how then do you identify the literature? There are 6 stages in the literature review. We have got select and refine the topic, identify and locate literature, ensure relevance, and record and retrieve, and review and summarize. So these are the things that influence us, the steps that influence us in the choice of it, and the steps that influence us in the literature review process. What is required of us to be able to carry out the literature review? We start by identifying. You start by identifying. And how do you identify? You have to have a topic before you can identify. So that's one thing that I'll advise you to know. Without your topic, you can't even start the literature review. So the literature review starts on the premise of the topic that you have. It starts on the premise of the topic that you have. Okay. So let me just take my time and go over it again. Literature review is a synthesis of available resources and materials which have a strong relation with the topic in question. It's accompanied by a description, and it's accompanied with a critical evaluation and a comparative analysis of each work. in a literature review, we conduct it to be able to tell us what we should do when we are doing our review, what we should read, and what gaps exist in the area so that we can establish the very basis of our argument. In fact, when the lecturer looks at your work and realizes that you didn't even quote him in your work and he's supervising you, you realize you didn't even read his work. So you didn't find his work of value. So sometimes when the supervisor is reading your work, he's checking your literature to see whether you even know the key scholars who have written about this topic or this theme or this phenomenon within Ghana. And if he doesn't see some of the key scholars, he'll tell you have not read extensively. So our advice that please, a lecture review is a good starting point of the work you are going to do. So don't take it for granted. Lecture review is a good starting point of the work you are supposed to do. So don't take it for granted. Okay, so let's take each of the steps one by one. We have talked about selecting a topic and what influences a topic already. Now, the next thing that is how then do we identify literature? How then do we identify literature, the literature that we need to identify? Somebody is asking a question on how to get the book, and Teresa, I've answered your question there, so you could actually look at it. Okay. Where do I find the literature? I can find the literature in different places. Scholarly journals, books, periodicals, dissertations, comment documents, policy reports, presented papers, existing statistics, and industry reports. Now, among all of these, the most important one that you should take into consideration is the scholarly journals. Please, the most important one is to take consideration is the scholarly journal. Take that one seriously. Those are the ones. Journals are important because academic journals are important because they represent one of the most objective criticisms and review of the research theme we want to research on. You see, the way journals are structured, when a person submits a paper to a journal, it goes through review, which independent review, sometimes about 3 different reviewers. And after that, the editor of the journal will also review. So after these rounds of review, whatever is accepted by the scientific committee and is allowed to be published has gone through a lot of examination. As compared to all of them, this is the one that goes through a thorough examination. So usually we tell students that the scholarly journal should constitute about 70% of your work. 70% of the work that you are going to do. 70% should be scholarly journal, 70%. Don't joke with that. 70% of the work should be scholarly journal. So keep that in mind. The next one that you can go to is the books. Books are also important, but books help you to gain definitions of concepts. Books help you to gain definitions of concepts. So for example, you remember price elasticity or even the demand and supply curve. Those are things that have been written in books for a very long time. You can easily get any understanding about it in the books. So if you go to read about it, you realize it has not changed since it was even formulated. However, if you want to see the contemporary approaches of using demand and supply curve to do analysis and to do research, you have to go for journals. So journal articles will give you a contemporary analysis of the thematic areas they have selected. However, books will give you a very good background of where we began from. And books are usually written by authors, and not all books go through thorough review as compared to how journals go through thorough review. So you start from scholarly journals and then you go to books. Then the next one is without any particular order. The next one that you need to read on is the government document, policy report, statistics, and the periodicals. Now, all of them are in one big level. So let's say that the scholarly journals is tier 1. So we can say the journals are tier 1. And then the tier 2, then will be the books. Tier 2 will be the books. Then the tier 3 will be all the other ones that are there. 3 will be all the other ones that are there. So let's say this is 3, and then this one too is 3. All the government documents is also the government documents is also 3. Okay, and then I'm just trying to help in do some interactive in the writing, the teaching. So this here is also 3, and then you also have existing statistics is also 3. Now I'm going to explain these things, level of importance 3. Now in that scenario, somebody said, "Prof, then are you saying that dissertation is not important?" It's important, but dissertation I'll put it at 4. So this is what we have. So you have got number 1, scholarly journals, number 2, books, number 3 being documents, policy reports, presented papers, existing statistics, and periodical. Now, number 3 are good for substantiating arguments from the practice. So if I say that foreign direct investment in Ghana has increased by 30%, where will I get it from? I need to go and get it from a World Bank document or Bank of Ghana document or GMPC document, something that can be able to show that statistic. I'll not get that one in journal articles, and I might not get it in books. It could be in a book that a Ghanaian has written, or somebody else has written, or a World Bank has written. But I'll get them in reports, and I'll get them in periodicals. I also get them in existing statistics. Now, the last one being the books. Books are relevant, but what we use government the books for is the dissertations are the last one. What we use dissertations for is to build understanding of the structure of presenting the work. You see, you are being supervised by, let's say, Dr. Liliani in public administration, or let's say Dr. Bugere in HR, or maybe Professor Bedmanati in marketing. Now, all these faculty that I'm mentioning their names have got their style of supervision, have got what they like. You need to be able to know how you supervise by looking at some of the good students you have supervised and what you required from them, so they can see how they presented their work. Number 2, generically, you need to know how to be able to present your work in the department that you belong to. So picking a copy of the work from your department, look at a past long essay will help you to guide you to know how to structure your work. So even what kind of color do you use to bind your book as an MBA student, you need to know. And then you need to even know whether where to write, what to write in the cover page, what to write in the introduction, what to write in between the cover page and introduction, all those fillers that you have to put there, the acknowledgement, the declaration, the abstract, the table of contents, and all those kind of stuff. What do you put in the appendix? All these things in structure of writing comes from looking into examples of dissertations that your supervisor has supervised. It's advisable that you look for dissertations that the student did well, not the one that the student didn't do well. So in that case, you can ask your supervisor that, please, can I get a sample long essay? Or sometimes you ask the department, they'll give it to you. A sample long essay that somebody, you supervise that the student did well. You can be able to have a copy and look at it as an example. You shouldn't copy what is inside, but you get an idea of a structure of how to be able to present your work. So scholarly journals are 70. And then the rest is with the books, the dissertation, and then the government documents. So all the rest will come together to form the 30%. But what I mean by 70 is that largely your works are going to be full of scholarly journals, which have been well published, well critiqued, and well reviewed articles that you can be able to use to substantiate your arguments or even start new arguments. But to get support for statistics in your work, you can then draw on the tier 3, that being the category 3, government documents, policy reports, World Bank reports, periodicals like Economist, like Harvard Business Review, like the Time magazine, where you can use information from there, you use it. Okay, so from there, now we have an idea of where to identify the type of literature that exists. So we now know the type of literature that exists. The next thing that we are going to do is to now go on to where will you get the literature? So the best place to get the literature is to go to University of Ghana website and then click on BAM Library. In fact, this is an old address, but I think currently this, if you go to BAM Library, you go to the University of Ghana website, you can choose library. And when you choose the library, you find databases. I'm going to demonstrate that. After choosing databases, you then go to look at the different databases that you can use. Now, these are the different databases that can be used. Sorry, I think we have our, these are the different databases that will be of necessity to a business school student. EBSCO hosts Emerald, JSTOR, Powergrave, Science Direct, Taylor and Francis. These are very good for business school students, especially Science, Emerald, Science Direct, Taylor and Francis, and EBSCOs. So these are databases. I'm going to show you how to be able to address and access them. So these ones are very good for you to start one. These are the ones that you sometimes may need a password to access it from outside the university. And then from there, you can also have other ones which are relatively free. Like this one, Google Scholar is a search engine to search other databases for you and other people's blogs that they have put their own articles there, or even their ResearchGate platforms or social media platforms that have got academic articles to search them and give it to you. So Google Scholar is a very good starting point, which is free. But the articles you find there, sometimes you may have to pay for them. But it tries to, as much as possible, to get the free versions of the articles. They have got African Journals Online. It's a platform run by the Ford Foundation in South Africa. It's a website that you can go there and then read journals that are owned by African institutions they are based in Africa. Most of you realize that in your department, many of the lecturers don't use this one. They use much more of the global databases. Okay, then you also have Directory of Open Access Journals. These are open access, that means free access. So there's all the journal articles that are free to access. But that doesn't mean that all the best articles are in the free access journals. What you realize is that some of the very good articles are the ones which are not free. The one I have to subscribe to. Then World Bank also has some statistics or databases that you can also draw from. So that's why we have World Bank database where you can get statistics from. So these are some of the platforms that you may need to use for your work. Okay. Now, to be able to use the University of Ghana system, it's good to browse and access it on campus. However, if you're outside campus, you may have to then use our outside campus access to have access to it. So let me do something. I want to stop my screen right now and then go to share my web browser. When I share my web browser, we can use my web browser to browse the different platforms and websites to be able to know how to be able to access the data. Okay, the articles that are there. So I'm going to share my slides again, my website again. Okay, so I'm sharing my browser. Okay, so this is what we have here. I hope you can see this. Sandra, are you there? Okay, Sandra, please, if you can see the University of Ghana website, can you wave so that I can see that? Sandra Yeboah, just wave on the screen so that I can see whether you can see the University of Ghana website. Okay, thank you very much. So it looks like you can see, most of you can see the University of Ghana website. So let's start from there. Okay. I've seen real time and some people raise up your hands. Okay. Let me just give them a few minutes to ask their questions, then we can go back. Okay, those who raise your hand up. Let me see you. Oh, a lot of hands have been raised up. Sandra, okay. You're raising your hand to tell me that you can see the site. Okay. Okay, then that's good. Then that's good. Okay. So, somebody said I should explain how government documents are relevant in finding research literature. I mentioned that earlier, that when you go into the government document, you can get some literature to support your arguments. For example, you are doing something on poverty in Ghana. You can't say you read on the LEAP documents that have been published on the poverty reduction programs in Ghana. So you still have them. Okay, so when we go to the University of Ghana website, you can go to library. I just click library. Okay, and it opened this page for me where I have A to quick database, A to Z, UG space, UG catalog, electronic books, and then I have the research guides, search all databases. So the easier thing for you to do is to go to A to Z quick databases. Okay, but let me go back to the site and then show you something. On the website and the library, I've got BAM library, institutional repository, online catalog, research guides, times higher education, off-campus access. Now, if you want to be able to access this literature off campus, you click on off-campus access. When you click on it, you'll be sticking to a page that you have to register. So if you don't have registration, click on register here. Then you're supposed to register. And when you register, this you have to register. Staff, it gives you a particular way of writing your index, your ID, and your date of birth and other stuff to register. After that, you click on it to log on. You click on it to register. Then when you register it, then you can actually be able to use that one to be able to search for information. Okay, good. So after you have registered, it can help you to be able to look for literature. So now I've registered and I'm logged on. I can be able to select my topic and then search for information I may need. Okay, so off-campus access means that I have to go back to the off-campus button and then log on from there and to open a page for me to be able to access the databases that we have in UG. The database that we have in UG. Okay, so if you click on login, then you log in. Good. You put in your barcode and your password, then you log in. Then it will take you to a page where you can be able to access all the databases. But let me just go back to the databases and just show you something. Okay, so when you log on onto the databases, you may see something like this. Okay, so quick databases. When you go to quick databases, it will give you all the databases that exist. So some of the ones are listed there are here. These are databases that all the university students use. So much. I think you can see it better now. So much here. Okay. However, some of you may want to look at it from a different perspective. You may want to look at, Prof, I want the ones which are good for business school people. So in that case, it's better you go by subject. You tell them to open, you try to open it by subject. So let me just try to see where I can open it by subject. So I go here and then I choose BAM library. Earlier I chose quick databases, but you can also ask it to open by subject areas. Let me try to find it on the screen. Okay, collection research. Okay, search all databases. I don't have by subject here. Okay, research guides. Let's see what is there. Okay, good. So I go to the research guide. I can go by subject here. Okay, and I have by subject, so I can click on them by such subjects. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so there's quite a lot of information here, but I just want to get it in an easier form for the students. So go back. Okay, so we come here again, and then we choose, and let me try online catalog. So the online catalog will give you, good. The online catalog here will give you all the catalog in UG for you to be able to research on it. Now, if you click on online catalog and you come here, you can see that there's off-campus access and there's research databases by subject. I click on database by subject. It gives me a list of different databases, starting with accounting. Okay, somebody say, Prof, this one is too fast. Go over it again. So let me go over it again. So I will start by, let me close it. University of Ghana website. If I want to register, I go to off-campus access. And when I click on off-campus access and I register and log on, it will just take me straight to the page. But this is where I've not logged on off-campus access. because I don't use it anyways. Usually the students are the ones that use it. So I go to online catalog, and then on the online catalog, I choose there's search or database of campus access, and the database is by subject. I choose database by subject, and I see that there are a lot of subject areas here. So I choose accounting, which is in the business school. So to bring all the business school ones, there are other departments there like HR, all of them are down there. So I have here academic research complete. So if I click on it to open it for me, business source complete to open it for me. F schools, remember I mentioned F schools. So F schools to open. Then I have Emerald. Emerald here is there. Then I have Science Direct, it's also here. I have Scopus, it's also good, but I have Taylor and Francis, it's also here. So I'm opening all of them in my, I'm opening all of them in to be able to access them. So I've opened all of them, starting with F schools. So F schools, you have to sign in. So if you are working, if you are using the university access, you can be able to log on by now because it should have given you a gateway to be able to log on. Then this is Emerald. Emerald, to when you log on by the university, to write on the top part of the university, to write here that this is the University of Ghana. You are logged in from the University of Ghana. But whenever you get to Emerald, I'm going to demonstrate using about 2 of them. When you get to Emerald, note that to be able to use the material, you have logged on already, so you have to search. So you have to look for where to search. So you choose explore our content and choose journals. And when you choose journals, the best way to search is to use advanced search. So you click on advanced search. Good. Then you have got all the tools to do the search from. So that's that of Emerald. So this is what will happen. Let's say that you are studying corruption. So I type in corruption. Then I can choose to write corruption in Ghana or corruption in whichever one I want to do. But let's say if I type corruption and I search, it's a very broad theme. I want to show you something that will happen. See that I've had over 17,000 articles to corruption. On the right-hand side of my screen, I also have the different things that it has. I can sort a means of sorting. I can sort by articles. I can sort by case study. I can sort by the year it was published, from which year to which year. So I can say I want the last 7 years or the last 5 years. So 2015 to 2020. So if I do that, I can get all the articles that were published within that. There were 10,000. Wow, just in 2015 too. So you see that the fight against corruption in particular, evidence for sustainability reports, that's good for accounting and finance students. And I can go on. The law is just law, analyzing the definition of corruption in Zimbabwe. So if you look at these titles, even without even reading the summary or abstract, you can start thinking that what can I do in Ghana? I can also choose to do battling corruption in Ghana. What can be learned? Like how somebody has done here, battling corruption in Malaysia. What can be learned? Corruption and activities and economic development. So corrupting activities and economic development. So this is what you may get from using this particular platform. But let me go back again and show you something. I could also have searched, when I was doing my advanced search, I could also have searched corruption, and I choose that I want papers that have corruption in the title of the paper. So I type corruption and choose, you see this section, you can choose where you want to search. So I say I want corruption, but I want corruption in the title. Then I can say I'm adding another rule. And I also want, but I also want Ghana to be mentioned, yes, Ghana to be mentioned in the abstract of the person's work. I can also say that I want it to be in the title. And I can choose which year I want and which year I want. And I can also select I want only journal articles. I don't want books, I don't want case studies. Because books, you can't read all the books online here. I can search. So when I click search here, now I've narrowed my search. So I end up having just about 5 articles. Yeah, just about 5 articles. So because I've narrowed it too much. Now can you see that now? Look at what's happening. Exploring corruption practices in public procurement of infrastructure projects in Ghana. Number 2, political will in combating corruption in developing and transition economy. A comparative study. Remember, I told you can do a comparative study. Singapore, Hong Kong, and Ghana. And then the relationship between corporate governance, corruption, and forward-looking information disclosure, comparative study. See, almost everybody who is a Ghanaian is the one publishing these papers. Does corruption cause tax evasion? Evidence from an emerging economy. Does corruption perception level of a country affect listed firms, IFRS, International Financial Report, report standards, 7, risk disclosure compliance? Okay. Now, can you see here that there's a particular person who keeps on writing? That's Ben Kwame J. Mensah. He has about 2 articles here. Then you have got Abdul Ghaffari. Ghaffari is in the business school. Now, what you realize that these 5 articles are telling you what is in Ghana. But you see, your work is not just about Ghana. Your work is just happening to that you are doing your study from Ghana. So this is the last one I would advise you to do. You can start from the broad, looking at developing countries, or looking at Africa. Then you can narrow down to Ghana, or go to some other African countries. You can go to maybe South Africa, then Nigeria, or Uganda, or Kenya before you come to Ghana. The idea being that you want to get a different literature from different perspectives of Africa, or even other countries. You can even check Asia. So if I want to do that, I can actually check. Doesn't mean that these are the only papers published on Ghana. These are the only papers published on corruption, has corruption in the title, and corruption in Ghana in the abstract. If I remove Ghana from the abstract and say Ghana should be in the body of the work, like all fields, it may increase the number. For example, look at this. Now I have got 64 articles. When I remove Ghana from the abstract, now to put Ghana and all the other articles are coming, but with new ones. There are new ones now there. Look at corruption, institution, and capital fight, evidence from Southern Africa. So this from Dr. Sensibe, who is also from University of Ghana. And you realize here that here in 2018 it was published. Here I'm searching for corruption in the title, but Ghana in the body of the work. So somewhere in the work, Ghana should be mentioned. That's what I'm doing. So that gives me 64, which is a broader perspective than rather narrowing down on just the Ghana one. Because somebody can still publish on Ghana, but not write Ghana in the title or even in the abstract. It's possible. So I just want you to keep that in mind when you are searching. You can go narrow, you can go broad, but you have to do it in different permutations so that you can get very rich material. And somebody may be saying that, but say if I do this and I get so much, won't it be too much for me? That comes to how then do you save your work? How then do you save your work? Okay, so this is how Emerald works. We'll come back to Emerald. When you find an article, the best thing for you to do is to look at the summary of the article, look at the purpose. The purpose of the study is to investigate the effect of corruption and institutional governance indicators on capital fight in Sub-Saharan Africa. What method did he use? What findings did he do? What are the implications? And what are the originality from the work? So in reading this, you can be able to tell whether the work is of more relevance to you or not. I can check another one. Let's see the first one, like for example, corruption practices in public procurement infrastructure projects in Ghana. If I check, I can get, while corruption has been long recognized as a disruptive social problem, the subject has not been given much attention. You see, this is a gap. This guy is emphasizing a gap in his particular research abstract. Sometimes people do that. It's not everybody who does that, but this guy is doing and pointing out a gap. So while corruption has been long recognized as a destructive social problem, the subject has not been given much attention in literature of the management or procurement of infrastructure projects. The purpose of this paper, so because of this gap, this is why he's going to do the study. So sometimes you realize that even in reading somebody's abstract, he's pointing out a gap that necessitated him to do that particular, or motivated him to do that particular study. So I'm just pointing out a gap in this scenario. So he goes on to talk about his work, and this is just the abstract. The work is novel, originality. See, the gap is tied to the originality. The work is novel, providing meaningful insights in conceptual basis for detailed empirical analysis, being a pioneering study, one of further research. Now you see, further research tailored to compare the extent of corruption and practice in various sectors of the economy will be novel. What he's saying here is that people who want to do corruption work in future should look at comparing corruption across different sectors together in one study. So this is a gap that has been emphasized and a gap that has been also emphasized for future studies at the end. So it's very, very interesting. We are learning interesting things here. Okay, so let me just show you Google Scholar. So the other side is Google Scholar. So Google Scholar is scholar.google.com. So go to scholar.google.com. Let's do the same corruption thing. So you take corruption. But here, we are not searching in title and stuff because it's just a simple search engine here, straightforward, unless you go to advanced search, which people don't know much how to use it in Google. So let's say corruption in Africa. And then see what is coming. Look at how we have here. Quite a number, 1.4 million responses. Wow. Starting from 1999, it goes very further by a moral economy of corruption. A lot of them books. This is searching both books. It's searching different things for you to use. Okay, so let's choose that we want since 2016 so that we can narrow down the number. That gives us 83,200 articles. So, but you see, it's suggesting some permutations. Can you combine corruption in Africa and foreign aid, corruption in Africa and public administration? So this is where you see interesting way of combining your work. Remember I told you that corruption is a broader area. There's something that I can look into corruption in foreign aid. Look at this title to corruption in Africa. What does ICT diffusion, what role does ICT diffusion play? Mining and local corruption in Africa. So that different perspective of corruption in Africa, which is different to the literature you read in Emerald. Emerald looks at European literature a lot. Papers published in Europe. EBSCO does a lot of American. Google searches everything. So it's a good starting point. But do a combination of them. Taylor and Francis also does European and American and Asian. Emerald also does Asian. So every kind of continent has its academics who are publishing in particular journals and databases. So you could check different databases. Then you've got Science Direct too. So we have here quite a lot of information here, and we can also open it. But when you open it, it takes you to the website. It doesn't open the article that it takes you to the website where you can find all the, like for example, look at this one, mining and local corruption in Africa. This is from wiley.com. Wiley is also a database. So you see that in this scenario, Google is searching that database for that material. Now, one interesting thing about Google is that if you have an account, you can actually start the materials that you are reading so that you can come back to them. And you can also check how it has been cited. So it can generate a citation for you, but it's not always perfect, but you can see it here, APA citation, so that if you're using it for your references. And then one thing is that Google can tell you other related studies that who have cited the work, people who have found this work to be useful. So if you click on citation, now the mining and corruption and local corruption in Africa, I have all the articles that I can read that have also cited that paper so that you can see which people also like reading this paper. Okay. So that's corruption in Africa. Now let's see Science Direct. Science Direct comes up to an interface like this. Okay, so let's say corruption. We can click on it. Let's go to advanced search. We have been using advanced search, so let's click on advanced search. Okay, so corruption. Okay, then you can search within the title of the journal. Search this in the book or journal title. But this one will search in the body. Okay, so that means if I want in the book or journal title, I can say I want, let's say Ghana. Now let's try to do that. Okay, oh, sorry. This means that you should have the name of the journal. Okay, we don't have the name of the journal. So let's okay, title, abstract, or alter specific keywords. Okay, so let's say Ghana here. So I put in corruption and I put in Ghana here, down here. Okay, oh, let me just sign in. I have an account there already. So sorry, some of you can't see. You are complaining you can't see. So sorry about that. So if you see here, I look for corruption. I chose the keyword being Ghana. Look at what I'm having. Not necessarily about corruption, but some things are there. Nuclear energy for sustainable development. SWOT analysis on Ghana's nuclear agenda. Okay. Avoiding illegality. Timber producers and strategies and motivations under the flag in Ghana and Indonesia. Forest policy and economics. So these ones are more science-based articles. So that's why it is coming from there, that perspective. Sustainable development in gold, in Ghana's gold mines. So sustainable mining. So it's looking at corruption from a sustainable literature. like energy reports, sustainable energy technologies. So quite interesting. I could also change this one and just say, let me look for social media. Yeah, social media. And then I put in Ghana somewhere. So look at this. Good. Evaluating individual level antecedents and consequences of social media use in Ghana. Interesting. Enterprise development, local content and corporate social responsibility. That one is not needed. So this is one of the reasons why you should check. If you're not checking, just download everything. You end up choosing what is not needed. This one is not needed. Politics of local content implementation in Ghana oil sector is still not needed. It seems that I'm not getting anything on social media because I put Ghana there. But if I remove the Ghana from there and I put Africa, I believe I'll get a lot. Wow, look at it. I'm even getting books on social media for academics. So now you see social media in the police, barriers and strategies. So if somebody wanted to do a study on social media, you can see that there's an example here. Social media adoption in the police. Interesting here. Social norms and emotions in problematic social media use amongst adolescents. Okay. Why do small SMEs, small and medium enterprise, use social marketing? And what's the impact? Interesting. Empirical insight from India. See how they are structuring the title. Consumer engagement and corporate social responsibility. So this is different ways of getting the articles. Now, let me just teach you something quickly. Now, one thing I'm going to realize is that the articles that I put here, some in this COVID-19 period, it's very difficult that you can go to campus and access them. Because if you're on campus, all these campuses will be free. You also have to register by campus access, off-campus access. Sometimes it works, sometimes it has a little problem. I don't know whether it will work now, but let me show you. The other way of getting the articles is that when you search for an article, you look for its GOI. GOI is a unique identification of the article, like this one on the GOI for Emerald, an article from Emerald here. So the GOI is here. You click, select the GOI, copy the GOI, and then you go to this platform, which is an underground platform. It's called SciHub. SciHub, SCI-HUB.TW, and you put in the DOI. If you put in the DOI, it will interestingly, in a unique way, open the article for you so that you can download it. So voila. So this is the article. You can download it and use it for your work. Some of you are saying, hey, Prof, this one, I'm not teaching you something illegal. It's COVID-19 conditions. I saw this has been working for some of the students. So they type it in here and the whole article is here. The whole article is here for you to read. The whole article. So you download it then onto your computer. So that's one way of getting the material. Now, so let's try to Science Direct and see. Someone will say, Prof, what you are doing? Are you sure it's not only just for this? So let's go to Science Direct. So Science Direct, looking for Science Direct. Okay. Okay, so this is Science Direct. So Science Direct, I have access already. So, but let me just open one of them and show you. Okay. So this is on social marketing use insights from Africa. So this is the DOI. I copied the DOI and I take it here. COVID-19 is why I'm showing you these things, because it's very difficult to get, because you have to finish your long essay too and start it. So you open it here and then it's voila. It's taking some time. If it exists, the PDF version exists in that database to open it for you. It doesn't seem to open. Okay, seems it didn't work for this one. But sometimes app has got different pages that they own. So sometimes they change it to different names. But let's see, I'm trying it again. Okay, it didn't open. So it means that this one didn't work. So let me try another one. Maybe it didn't work because of the way I copied it or something like that. Okay. Or the way the DOI was written. Let's see, let me see whether I have another one that I can try with. Okay. 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 Maybe the way there's DOI is written. Okay. Let's see. So I go to SciHub, I type in the string or the domain name, and I try my best to see. Some people may have logged their own, so it doesn't open. Oh, okay, this one has opened. Okay, so this one has opened. Maybe that one I didn't copy it well. So social capital, conceptualizing the nature, acquisition, expenditure of social media based organizational resources. So that's it. You can download it. So please, it's just for the reason of COVID-19 is why I'm showing you this thing. Anyway, but I think Science Direct is allowing people to register free so far as you use a university email address. Because I use my university email address and they verified me and they told me I can access because of COVID-19. Okay, so now let me show you. When you see all these materials, it's better you sort it by relevance and then you can get the most relevant one. And I tell students that try and go through the first 25 and download them, but don't just download. If you're downloading, download with a little bit of wisdom. For example, look at this one on social media capital. And it was published in 2020. So very, very new. And it's our social media capital. And I don't know where the study was done. Let me see where the study was done. It doesn't tell you the country. Let me see where I can find the country. Let me read the methodology and see. Sometimes the country is in the title, but this one there's no country in the title. Okay. Methodology. Oh, it seems to be not an empirical paper. It's just discussing. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be an empirical paper. Let me take an empirical paper. But you still can save it anyway. All the same, you can still save it. Let me see. There was a paper here. Social media among. Okay, look at this one. Why do SMEs use social marketing? So I want to download. I click on download, and it opens the download button. I have access to it. Okay. Somebody's asking a question. Okay. We're still trying to open. I think this is internet issues. Sorry, I lost connection. So I'm going back to what I was doing. Okay. So what we have here is that I've got this paper which I've opened on social media adoption the police. I remember we mentioned about it earlier. So I want to download it. So I click on download. And most often, many of you students here, when you are clicking on download, you just save it PDF1, PDF2. No, we expect you to be smart enough to create intelligent folders in your computer. So I advise students that don't just save the files as is. What is the folder? Have a folder name for what you are doing. So me, I'm doing a study on social media. So I create a folder called social media. And then now I'm going to save the article. So this article is on social media adoption in the police. So I can see this is about social media adoption. So I can create a folder for social media adoption. So that if I see another one about something else, adoption. Good. Then the file name, this is social media adoption in the police. So I'll write social media, or I can even use SM adoption. Then I add police. And the paper was published in, I think it was published, I can't remember, but I think it was published in 2020. So I did 2020 there. So when I save it like this, anytime I come back, I can know, and it was done in the United Kingdom, so I can add UK. So you see what's happening here. I have the name, the typo of the topic, the domain is police, and then the year is 2020, and the country is UK. Or I can let the country come first. Police, UK, and then 2020. So anytime I look at the file, I can know that this is about social media adoption among the police. The country is UK, and it's in 2020, which is far better than just saving the article just as PDF1, PDF2. So when I go to my folder, when I go back to my folder, I realized that I have a folder called social media adoption, and I've got a folder in which I'll find the paper called social media adoption police, and then UK, and then 2020. So I advise you, let me do another one so that you can understand what I'm trying to say. Let's say, so this one is about, let me open this one and see. This one is accounting for citizens when explaining open government effectiveness. Okay, good. No, I don't know whether this one has the country is not stated. The country is not stated. So maybe I can't, but in the abstract, I know that this one is for accounting. This is not about social media. Let me search for something on social media because we are doing something on social media. So social media, and maybe I'm now interested in culture. Like social media and culture. Good. So I have here risk cultures, citizen perception of social media in use in emergencies across Europe. So this is risk culture, looking at it in using social media in the risk environment, high risk environment, that's emergencies. So I click on, I need to download. It gives me the paper. I realized that it was 2019 paper. I realized that this one is in Europe. Okay, so it's across Europe. So in saving the article, I won't put it in social media adoption. It's also about social media adoption, but it's more about in emergency situations. So SM emergency, and then I add the country Europe. This is Europe, and then this is 2019. Good. So I save it again. So now I have two different articles I have saved with intelligent way of saving. So I advise you, don't just save articles just the way you want to save them. Save them with some level of intelligence so that whenever you come back, you can understand what you have. Okay, so let's go back to our slides. Then I'll pause and take some questions right now. Let's go back to our slides. Okay. So going back to our slides, realize that I taught you about how to get the off-campus access. So this is what I was doing. You go to a journal database. A database is different from a journal. Database hosts journals. Those are databases I mentioned, some of them which are good, I mentioned are this. We have realized that the best one to try and use is, we have seen Science Direct, we have seen Emerald, but I've got Wiley, I've got Springer, which is not even here. I've got Taylor and Francis, I've got EBSCO. But most of the time, students start with Google Scholar, Emerald, and Science Direct. You can add Taylor and Francis too. It's also a very good platform. So you type, you search, you use the search box, either the basic search or advanced search. Advanced search helps you to search different parts of the article, either the title or the abstract or the whole body of the article. Then you can search for your topic, you review your results and refine your search parameters. Like, you can change some of the search parameters. Then you record. Record and retrieve means that you actually download it onto your computer before you then do the review and writing later. So save the document onto your computer, categorize the documents, use wisdom to categorize it. So this is what we call the spider diagram. Spider diagram means that it's a kind of an outlook of how your folder will look like. So what some students do is they use the spider web here to be able to do as a way of categorizing their literature. They put the main work in a bigger folder, they create a folder, maybe social media, and inside the folder, they create different folders. So they can have social media. If they are categorizing according to themes, they may do social media adoption, social media impact, idea 2, social media adoption, idea 1, social media impact, idea 2, social media, and maybe something else, social media policies, idea 3, and social media strategies, idea 4. Or somebody is looking at just adoption. So the title here is social media adoption among the police, maybe social media adoption among the emergency institutions, social media adoption among politicians, among policies, social media adoption in idea 4 for education. So you could actually do it whichever way. Then in the inside, you can see example A, example B, example C, that the actual papers with their years is put in here. Now, when a student like this wants to write, he can say that social media adoption have been studied in maybe from different perspectives. For example, social media and police, Then you give a reference, social media in emergency settings, social media in politics and social media strategies, or social media in maybe construction. Then he writes them. Then he say, for example, when you look critically into the work on social media in emergencies, it has been emphasized that social media can help in this and this and this. Then he needs that he's opening for folder 2 and reading the articles in only folder 2 to be able to write that section. If he gets to this section, idea 3, which is social media and politicians, you can then write about that. So when you do that kind of categorization, it helps you to be able to simplify your work and know what to look out for. Okay. Now, apart from this type of classification for your work, you can also do another type of classification, which has to do with much more with the reading too. You see, if you download about 20 works, 20 different literature, each of them may have about 25 pages. It's very difficult to read all of them in a go. So it's advisable to look at them in a summary form. You can take a piece of paper or your exercise book and then look at the abstract and write keywords, or even download the paper and skim through it and write keywords that you can actually see from the paper. For example, when we go to, let's say, when we go to, when we go to this particular paper we're reading, social media among the police, or even let's use Emerald. Emerald, good. Now we look at this Emerald paper like this. Look at the purpose of the paper. While corruption has been organized as a destructive social problem, has been recognized as a destructive social problem, the subject has not been given much attention. So here you are seeing the gap the person used to do his work. So you can even summarize the case. This paper was done in here. It was written by Osei Sibe and Osei Tutu, and you can make a note of it. It's about Ghana, and then it's based on the fact that there's a need for more studies in procurement of infrastructure projects. What method did he use? He reviewed this type of papers, and he also did review published data. Then you look at the findings, what were his findings, and what were the gaps he left for future research. So you are just trying to use as one sheet of paper to identify the key things you saw in the paper. Now, supposing we want to read the paper, we need to know that I'm writing, let's say I'm writing, let me go to Sci-Hub and then try to open this paper again and see. So I'm trying to summarize the paper, and I realized that I need the definition of corruption. So I want to know, what did Osei Tutu define as corruption? So as I go through, I look at the different things he has written. So I see that corruption is a social phenomenon that fosters anti-democratic environment, characterized by uncertainty, unpredictability, and declining moral values and disrespect. As I go through it, I kind of realize, okay, interesting. Conceptual dimensions of corruption practices. Conceptual definition of corruption suggests that the personal aims may sometimes undermine the work of organizations. According to Mensah et al. 2003, corruption has been defined as, so now you see this is a definition of corruption that is here. And he used Mensah et al.'s own. Then he goes on, consistently, several authors have indicated that corruption has defied many years of economic and political reforms. So for instance, Kantu defines corruption as a behavior which deviates from norms. So you are seeing different. Transparency International, anti-corruption, non-governmental organization originally defined corruption as the use of public office for private gain. So now then Hellman, according to Hellman 2000, corruption may be defined as this. So this one shows you different definitions of corruption. So if I wanted to know the different definitions of corruption, I can say corruption in literature has enjoyed a plurality of definitions. For example, Transparency International defines corruption as this. On the other hand, Mensah et al. Define corruption as this. All these types of corruption definitions highlight different things, and I can then go ahead to analyze what I'm saying. But if I want definition of corruption, I can see it here. So I can write in my notes that definition of corruption, different definition of corruption, see page 240 of Osei Tutu's book or work. Some students even number the different literature, even though they give it a very good name. They number 1, number 2, and they give it a good name. So if you say number 1, they know that they know the literature they are referring to. So please, when you are going through it, you can quickly look at the key things that you want to try and learn from the person's work. You may not be able to read all, but summarize for the key things that you can be able to learn from the person's work. Okay. Then from there, you go to, okay, and that will summarize what I wanted to show you today. There are other things I'll show you. So let me give a practical assignment. Go to emeraldinsight.com, and I'll put this on the internet, on the website, Sakai later. Download a paper, search for a paper, mobile phones and micro training activities, and see whether you can summarize this paper and in a very short, in one page. Just summarize, identify the key things that are of interest to you in this paper. Or even choose a paper of your own choice and take just one sheet to summarize the key things. I'm not write a whole sheet of paper. What are the key things you have seen from the paper without reading the whole paper? Just skim through it and see. I want you to develop a skill of skimming through papers to identify what's necessary. For example, I'll write on sensitive paper, I'll write page 20, page 240, definition of corruption. So that anytime I come back to that one sheet, I know the definition of corruption, I can find it in page 240. And I can say data on analysis on corruption in Ghana, page this number. So that's what you could actually do. Okay. So in effect today, we are going to our third part. I'll leave this one for the next time. This has been a lot that I've taught you today. I'll put the video online. There is also videos on this on the internet already that I've taught, but I also made this one available by Monday so that you can actually read through and then and understand it better. Thank you very, very, very much. Okay, those of you who have been able to stay on, you can ask. So I see Sandra, you have a question. Gift and Ponsa, you have a question. I know that you had your hands up earlier, but unless you don't have a question, I've addressed it already. Please let me get your questions. I want to interact with you. I've muted you, so if you want to talk, you can just unmute yourself and talk. Way Ghana, is there a specific format for one pager? Oh, okay. I showed the format there earlier. I showed the format there. Let me try and see if I can put it again. One pager. This format is what I use personally.
Yes.
This format is what I use personally. This format is what I use personally. So sorry about that. Let me just try to show my format.
Hello. Yeah, hello.
Gifty, are you talking to me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm coming. I'm answering the question from Way Ghana, and then I'll just respond to you. So this format is what I was saying that you can use, but it's not all the items in the format that matter. In fact, what matters more is article, your reference, so that I can remember where the article was taken from, and the problem, and then the gap. But sometimes some students are looking for a definition. They're looking for something on the methodology. Yeah, I've muted you because of the noise I get, the feedback we are getting. So some students do that because they want to get some information on that area. So we go into, you choose which aspects of the work that you are interested in to be able to note down. That's what I'm just telling you, but this is a format you can use. Okay, somebody is asking that, where can I find the video of the second session? Okay, what I was trying to tell you that all the videos are on Sakai. When you go to Sakai, you can see video sessions, video lessons, and you go there, you see all the videos there, but I've not added the video of what we are doing, the online interactions. I'm going to create another one I'm going to put the online interactions there for Monday. So you go to last week's own, and then this week's own. I'll put it just underneath the same session. You see that session 1, the video of me teaching, and then the online interaction that we are doing right now. You also see it, so you can see that. Prof, I want you to know if Emerald will require a password of campus. Yes, Emerald will require. In fact, all of them will require. That's why I told you to apply for the off-campus access, and then you can use that one online. But I also showed you some COVID-19 approach of getting it, that Sci-Hub helps you to be able to get some of the articles using the DOI. Okay. Anyway, any other question? Gifty, your question. If you have a question, you can ask or you can type it.
Hello.
Yes. Mauli, yeah, Mauli, you can talk.
Yes, I want to understand what should be the extent of your literature review in terms of the articles you review.
Wow. There's nothing like extent to, because it's more about point of saturation, whether you have enough material, whether you have enough material to read. So as you download the articles, you come to a point whether to see whether you have enough information. But I always tell students that after you have read about, depending whether are really relevant articles, after you have read about 20 or gone through quick reading of about 20 to about 30, you get an idea of what is necessary. You get an idea of what is necessary and what is not necessary. So I would advise you, Mauli, to try to get about 30 of them, even sometimes without even downloading them to even going through just the abstracts, about 30 of them, you have a very good understanding of what is out there so that I can write. And then writing is also, when I teach you writing, you hear you hear me explaining something on what's the name? The style of writing, the literature you need to write. You see, writing has to do the writing has to do with the content that you have read. Because when you're writing, depending on the section you're writing, you may need to have information. For example, if you look at the paper that we're examining earlier, the person had different sections of the introduction. He has to read different literature to write that part. Then he has to have a part on conceptualizing corruption. That's a different literature. Then you have to go and write a part on methodology. That's a different literature. So every section and what you have to read, you have to fit in. But in general, invariably, you are still reading on the same corruption. But every section, you are picking different things to put in. So the number is not necessarily the matter. It's much more of how to be able to put in the material. But when you start writing, I'll explain something to you that I advise you that for every 50 words you write, you should have one unique reference. So if you're writing 500 words, then you should have about 10 references minimum to be able to have, so that you can be more analytical, 10 unique references. I'm not saying you can repeat some of them. But it all depends on where you are writing. If you're writing in your conclusion, maybe you may not need as much as 10. But if you're writing 500 words in your conclusion, you may not need as much as 10. But in the beginning of the work, you need more literature to be able to establish your position. And Mauli, if I can take just a minute to show you something. I want to change what I want to show you the literature that we're looking at. Okay, so now look at this one. Okay, can you see the paper, Mauli? Can you see the paper I'm showing on conceptual dimensions of corruption practices? Mauli.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so now let's take it one by one. Look at the first part, introduction. Just even look at the first 3 lines. After stating that statement, look at 2 references have come already. Then he goes to the next line, another reference has come. He goes to the 3rd line. Now, so even in this particular set of, this is about, let's say 100 words. How many references do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you divide 100 by 5. Then almost every 20 words has a reference on its own. And I'll say every 50 words. So you can even see this one. And it may be more than 100 words, actually. It's more than 100 words, because this alone is about 20 words. So you see that, look at how many references, even just look at this one. Almost every sentence or every other sentence has a reference. Sometimes even a sentence can several research efforts. You say several. So when you say several, you cannot put in only just one reference. You see how many references are there? There are about 4 references here. Mawenya, Krakim, Lamo, and UNDP. And these are different types. This is UNDP is a report. And these are maybe academic ones. You see, he's mixing both academic report and then academic work and then reports, as I told you today. So you see the same thing happening here. Look at even here. For example, the American Society of Civil Engineers. He's even quoting from American Society of Civil Engineers, because he's talking about construction workers and infrastructure work. Then here, look at what he's here. Here he's now picking another report here. Look at this one. A global survey on corruption suggests that a volume of bribes exchanging hands in public sector procurement is estimated as 390 to 400 billion. So you see this one, he now needs statistics to support him. So he has got to pick a statistic. Then he comes to West Africa, he comes to Sub-Saharan Africa. Then he comes to World Bank. Then goes back to academic. So you see, he just makes different types of literature to be able to substantiate his view. Look at this one too. He's quoting from The Economist. I told you you can choose a periodicals. Remember what I said? And this one is Mensa et al. This is a Ghana paper. Yeah. So when you go to the list of reference, you can see that there will be all these ones will be there. Look at here too. For instance, in the USA, in the Department of Justice claims, for instance, the Department of Justice claims that between 1994 and 2001, the USA government learned of significant allegations of bribery. Now he's talking about economists and then talking about Mensa et al. Looks like this article was quoted by Mensa. That's why he has put inverted comments there. But Mensa also took it from The Economist. So he has put both references there. So you get a picture of what goes into writing. But you see the Economist and the World Bank. But if you go into the part he was talking about conceptualization, he didn't do all those things. He just went to Mensa definition. Here it's focusing more on definition. So those who have defined corruption, Transparency International, and then Hellman, you don't see him talking about The Economist magazine anymore. Now it's becoming more about literature that have defined. So what is relevant in the area is what you put in that area. But look at this whole section, there's no reference. Because he has established enough up there, he can build upon it. But no, then he comes back again, Philip, in an influential paper, Philip 2002. Then goes back to World Bank. Then goes back to those authors he mentioned in the previous section again. Then you can see another whole section, there's no reference. Because of he has built his rhetoric now, he has built enough references, he can now argue. So you can know that he's building upon the other part. But then occasionally he brings a reference again here, as reported by Abe. Then he goes to another page, demand and supply of corruption practice. This is a sub-theme. Quoting Mensa, this guy is depending on Mensa a lot too. Usually we don't like that. It means that you're not reading from other places. Anyway, but this is a published article. I think he doesn't use only Mensa, he uses other articles too. Anyway, so Mauli, very, very good question. Very, very good question. I'm very proud of the question you have answered. I don't think anybody has answered it before. Okay, Conrad Damarco, iPad. And you are asking that where are the videos? I think you're not going to Sakai yourself, so you don't know where the videos are. So let me mute everybody and then go to Sakai and show you where the videos are. Let me stop share. Let me go to, oh, I should have just continued because the same place I'm going. Okay, so Sakai, let me log in and search for your materials for you to look at the UGBS 602. Weekend MBA. Let me view as student so that you can see that I'm viewing as a student. Video lessons. So you see video lessons there. Look at session 1 to 3. All the videos are here. These are things I've taught already. The same style, the same energy is what I used to teach. But the examples differ. So for Monday, you come here, you see another link showing online interaction here, which I'll put it underneath here. Underneath here, you see the online. So for each of the sessions, you see the online interaction one. So you can watch both and then compare and then learn from it. So we have done a little bit of conducting literature review part 1. I'll come and put it here, but we didn't finish. So as we update, I'll put more here. Do you understand me?
Hello, sir. Yes, Conrad.
Okay. Yes, please.
Yeah. What I was actually saying is, with the online videos that you've already made, can we make can you actually put names to it?
But actually, there are names to it. I don't know. Are you looking at what you're saying?
Names and dates, as in a date to it.
Oh, okay. Okay. But actually,
yes, so it actually say that on this day we had this meeting, and then actually take it and watch.
Okay, so
thank you very much.
Conrad, I think you are talking about my classification as you emphasize. I understand you. Thank you very much. Very good comments and very good feedback. So as I'm adding new content, I'll show that this one is the old one done in 2014 as just a lecture, and I'll show this one is online interaction, which was done this particular month, being
yes.
Yeah, I think that's very good. It will benefit everybody. Smart recommendation. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof.
Any other smart recommendations? Somebody said I didn't hear me talk about significance under chapter 1. I'm not talking about chapter 1. I just thought chapter 1 is as in a chapter of the book, not the chapter of your writing. So significance of the study, I'll talk about it when I'm talking about it in chapter 8, session 8, when I'm discussing research proposal. I'll talk about significance for the study. But if you want to jump ahead, the video is there. You can go ahead and read it and watch it. Sorry, you can go ahead and watch it. I'll talk about significance of the study there. Okay. I want to know if, okay, I've answered no more of the questions here. We go back and see whether there are some students who have got hands up. Since we are getting a lower number, if you are, how can I, you are asking the question. Welcome back.
Yeah, please. Thanks. Good morning. Please, I've logged on to my Sakai screen to yours.
Yes.
On the left-hand side of the menu, I'm not seeing video.
Okay. So
I'm not seeing video
you are not in the
lessons.
course.
I'm just seeing.
You are not in the course. That's why you need to enter the course. The course, go to the top and see sites. You see sites at the top and choose the course UGBS 602. UGBS 602. Have you seen that?
No, please.
Sites. Can you see sites? On the left-hand side.
No, I just have.
You should see the courses listed up there, unless you're not added to the, you're not being added to the course. But if you have been added to the course, you should see that. Let me just check whether you are part of the students in the course. So let me exit.
Right. Okay.
Is your name Efia? Yeah,
yeah, Oferiwa Budget.
Yeah,
Yes.
you are there. Your name is there. Efia Oferiwa Budget. Your name is there. So you should see the course. You have to click on, look for UGBS 602 on either the menu at the top there. You should see it at the top there where my hands, you see where the course is listed there. UGBS 602, 31, 62, 190, 1920. Have you seen that one?
Okay, on my left. No, on my left-hand button, I only have home. I don't have any courses on the button up there.
Okay, and do you see the right-hand button? Do you see sites?
No, it's just overview, profile, membership, calendar, resources, announcements. Yeah.
You are still looking at your left-hand. Go on your right-hand side. Your right-hand side sites on top there where your name is. When you log in.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen the site. Yeah.
You're not looking at the right.
Okay. All right.
So have you seen the courses? All the courses that you have been assigned to are there.
Yes, I've seen it now.
So you are seeing that are there any other courses apart from my course?
Let's see. I'm checking.
So when you click on site, yeah, you should see other courses, other course codes. Our course code is 602.
Okay, I'm seeing another one, 603. Okay, all right, thank you.
So maybe some lectures have been putting things that you don't even know. So go there and check it. Thank you for your work.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, then. You're welcome. Any other questions for us before I bow out? Today has been a very long time. We have spent about 3 hours. Okay. Please, do we need to submit one pager when please? Oh, don't worry, I'll put it there as an assignment. I'll give enough time up to the end of maybe May or something like that. I need to even change the dates of the assignments. I just want, you see, I have to be able to make sure that I can demonstrate competence in the area. So all the assignments I'll be giving after teaching is to demonstrate your competence. And later I'll put them all together to sum up your mark for the semester. That's why I'm encouraging you to participate in these things. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much. I don't know whether anybody has any other question. Any other question? Thank you very, very much. I've also enjoyed it. I've not taught this course this much for a very long time because the students were engaging me. Thank you very much. The Saturday class is the best class. The best class. Thank you very, very much. Anyway, so Abna, Efia, and then the rest. Go and do your jollof rice and eat. And Thomas and Teresa, Sandra, and then Nana Operabia, Papa Mingle. Hey, Papa Mingle, will you be sponsoring a party for us at the end of the class? Your name sounds very rich, Papa Mingle. Interesting. Daniel, you say it's your first class. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Robbie, Techno is Millicent. Okay, Millicent. And I think it's Michelle or Millicent, one of them. I think Michelle. Okay, Thomas, user, Waygana. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. See you next week. See you next week. Thank you very much.